Peace, I am Molicia Crichton. I am a multidisciplinary artist based in Brooklyn. I am here at the Billie Holiday Theater at Restoration Plaza in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, standing in front of one of my paintings, Cosmic Vessel. It's being featured in an exhibition which is up until June 27th. It's called Still We Rise, or We Rise Still, pardon me. And it's featuring about 25 artists from the diaspora, featuring works from multi-generational group of artists. Please come by and see it if you're in the area. So this is my work. It's called Cosmic Vessel. It's 22 by 28 piece, acrylic on canvas mainly, but some mixed media with rhinestone embellishment, and I did use markers. I also created this frame from upholstered wood, which was upcycled from renovations in my parents' house. So that was the first time I was framing this piece. I actually painted the piece in 2013 and framed it last fall, 2021. My inspiration for the piece was kind of ascending my vision of music, using myself as a muse, taking myself out of the picture and going much deeper. So my inspiration for this piece was more about my birth story, the womb itself. I consider myself a womb artist, and a part of healing some of the womb trauma that I experienced once I became a mother was through my art. I had 3 daughters. The first one, Nia, which means purpose, she died prematurely after 13 days in the NICU. And most of the work that I did after that point was paying homage or tribute to her spirit, as well as my 2 living daughters. And I was deeply inspired by Frida Kahlo when I first learned about her in high school. And a lot of my work was me painting myself in different depictions. And at this point, I wanted to remove myself personally and go deeper. I was doing a lot of esoteric studies on the Kemetic or ancient Egyptian tree of life, the Kabbalistic tree of life, the planetary tree of life, and sacred geometry as a whole. I wanted to depict all these things visually because the knowledge was so deep. One of the biggest challenges I've faced as an artist is monetizing my gifts. I've been on this journey of how do I make my work be also how I make my living. And initially when I had this piece up for auction, when it was first created, it was $250. Now I have priced it at $40,000. Because in reflection of the amount of work that it took, and even in looking at various artists that lived and died and how their pieces increased in value once they were no longer there or being resold, I said, I want to be able to make a profit and to get the return on my investment while I'm still living. Of course, you know, the art world is hugely competitive. Unless you're known or affiliated with certain people or shown in certain spaces, it's really hard to get that return on your investment, meaning the return on the skills that we've developed, the time that we devoted to actually creating these works, and the knowledge that was encoded into it. But I haven't given up. I'm still here. I'm still in the flesh. And every experience is more motivation for me to keep going and to keep producing. So the last 2 years have been extremely challenging for not just me, but us as a collective in general. I actually seeded an organization which is still being built out. It's called Holistic Arts Collective in 2017, and put it on hold for quite some time. And in 2019, I stopped working full time. And then 2020, you know, we went through this lockdown. That time was a huge time of reflection for me, to kind of go back into myself as an artist, to think about what was my purpose in the times that we were in and what I wanted to put my focus into now that we all kind of had this moment to pause and reset. I'm just happy to still be here in this flesh and to still be cultivating something that is so needed in this time as we try to figure out how do we reintegrate into being into public spaces, how do we reintegrate into our artistry, our creativity, and not be subjected to mandates and restrictions, because we are living in a new time where people are terrified, and because of this terror of the unknown, there's a added pressure. So I'm just happy to be one of the forerunners of like still creating spaces that feel good to me despite these limitations. What's interesting, gentrification, when it first started, one of the impacts it had on me, like we're currently in Bed-Stuy, Restoration Plaza. I had my first apartment in Bed-Stuy, and when I started noticing the neighborhood changing, so I moved to Bed-Stuy in 2005, and then I left in 2007, almost 2008, when the neighborhood started to shift. It made me feel uncomfortable. I had just had a child. I needed to be closer to my folks. They didn't want to really come to this side of Brooklyn. I just came back to Bed-Stuy last winter, so 2022. I've been frequenting here because a lot of my community is in Bed-Stuy. So whenever I want to do anything on the weekends, cultural satiation, Bed-Stuy is where I come to. But now I'm a resident again in Bed-Stuy, and I find myself kind of needing to give myself permission to be in spaces that once felt welcoming, such as Ron King Park. Like I go there all the time. And sometimes I feel like there's a lot of microaggressions coming from the new gentrifiers or colonizers. I'm sorry to take a shot in that way, but that's what it feels like. And they might be gathering and they're making commentary just based on what they're observing. I might be doing my yoga, or lately I started writing. So this is one of the things, the ways I found to express that rage, because there is some rage there from things not feeling as open to the people that actually made this place cool, now feeling kind of forced out. One of the first pieces I did actually when I started painting again in 2010 was called Displaced. So it's really interesting how all that's playing out now in these times, and I have to give myself permission to take up space. So in my writing, I'm expressing some of my rage against, how I'm being scrutinized or being ostracized by people who are just kind of spectators. They come, they see the neighborhood school, they want to know the culture, they are appropriating things, but are they doing it with the heart in mind that they're people that were the forerunners of this creation of these cultures, that we still want to keep it authentic? And even though we're making it accessible, it's not just entertainment. Like, this is our life.